Well, yes, I am making this video like 25 hours before this is meant to go live. Anyways, yeah, you read the title. We're gonna be predicting Group vs. Megamind. Woo! For starters, we're going to be looking into the canon material for both, as well as some random stuff. Like, I mean, they can probably use. Can they use adverts? I mean, they use Twitter feeds. I don't know the legitimacy of that, but I have been looking at the G1 blog to see what they say about this shit. And from what I know, this stuff that they use is, like, not just primarily the movies and TV shows, but it is stuff that is, canon to, like, what Universal or DreamWorks would have with both characters. So, with all that considered, we will be factoring that in. So, let's begin. Now, in terms of basic stats, I think Gru sweeps the board, even from just the first movie. In terms of strength, we see him do utterly absurd stuff, such as punch a shark dead on in the face as it's coming at him, and, like, one-shotting it with just a single punch. Which, I mean, to be fair, he hit it in the nose, which is the shark's weak point, if I remember correctly. Well, weak point as in, like, its sensitive spot. But at the same time, that is still nothing to scoff at. So, I believe that Gru, and that also gives Gru a pretty good head start. Obviously, Megamind has some stuff in the strength department, but in terms of, like, as a physical person, he is physically weaker by a long shot, since without his technology, he isn't really the best in a hand-to-hand fight. Speed-wise, I think that Gru he did get a speed buff in Despicable Me 4, if I remember correctly, because I remember there was a speed feat in the bad Megamind TV show, but I don't remember it exactly. I think it's pretty fast, but I think that was also pretty contentious, since both Despicable Me and Megamind don't exactly have consistent, like, laser beats. Like, we know they're lasers, or, like, lasers in, like, name, but, like, we don't know they're, like, lasers by their properties, if you know what I mean. We don't know if they can, like, bounce off light and stuff, not like glass. What I'm saying is lasers have properties, and we haven't seen the lasers in Despicable Me or Megamind carry those same properties. Now, obviously, could I be wrong about this? Yes, I fully admit that. My main source of information is looking at blogs and debates online, because I've only watched movie 1 and 2, and the first Megamind movie. And even then, the first Megamind movie, I only watched that last night as I'm recording this. So if I get anything wrong, let me know in the comments, and crucify me, I guess. Durability, honestly, I think Gru had this in spades, even in the first movie. Solely because of the scene where he has to take a bunch of beatings when he tries to get into Vector's face. You know the exact scene of Big Yelp, when he gets slammed by a door, punched in the balls, eaten by a shark, and struck by multiple missiles. Nuclear, mind you. Megamind has taken a pretty big beating before, but none to that level. Even then, his best durability feat, which as far as I know is him surviving an electrocution attack, can't even be applied to electrocution because the chair took the electricity and blew up. None of that got applied to Megamind. It got applied to the chair. Whereas Gru took those missiles head-on, direct epicenter of it. And he got off pretty unscathed, including the other stuff that he survived earlier that day too. Now, that seems like a pretty big sweep. But what about hereditary factors like skill, experience, intelligence, and weapons? Well, let's go into that. Skill-wise, I honestly think both are equal. Both have been very skilled with their weapons and arsenal, and Gru is able to, like, do a bunch of spy shit on the fly, as we see a lot of times in Despicable Me films. Hell, even in the first film, he's actually pretty good at walking on tightropes, at least for a few seconds. Megamind as well is also no slouch in the skill department. Both are very skilled what I'm trying to say is that both are very skilled inventors, and overall are pretty good at what they do. It's really nothing more to explain than that. Everything else has a lot more to say about it. Experience goes to both. Both have been genius inventors since literal childhood, and of course both have been growing up as villains inventors since. Granted, there was a brief period of time where Megamind did have to, like, stay on the sidelines because of Metroman's apparent death, but after that, Megamind rules and also the Despicable Me sequels kept in their jobs, despite the fact that their villain status is now gone and they're now proclaimed heroes. And despite that, they both still keep up their jobs really well and have lots of experience together. As a result, I think experience will likely go to both, if not likely Groot, simply because he has more, like, movies about him. We don't know how much material that Megamind has ever since his first movie, compared to Groot, who has at least 3 more movies. Well, I mean, as far as we know, they can all range from the same year, or different years, like literally none of us know. Intelligence also goes to both for pretty obvious reasons. As I said before in experience, even when they were children, they were both master inventors, capable of making some of the most insane stuff ever. You could probably give this to Megamind, given he's made more stuff, as well as more variety in his weapons, but at the same time, Groot's weaponry is nothing to scoff at. Granted, a fair chunk of those could probably be attributed to Dr. Nefario, so, I mean, yeah. Speaking of weapons, let's get into that, because that's probably one of the biggest things about this matchup, the weapons that they have. And honestly, this is for good reason. Their weaponry is utterly insane. Now, they both share, like, extremely similar weapons. Both have something to do with anti-gravity, something to do with erasing something that we see a lot. They can immobilize, they can transmutate, but obviously there's advantages that both have. Groot has more defenses against odor-based weapons, as well as having more AoE access to his odor-based weapons. And also, Megamind, despite all of his weaponry, doesn't actually have an access weapon to freezing, similar to unlike the Freeze Wave. However, Megamind does have other stuff, such as portal creation, data gathering, and, well, just general mechs. Groot really only has vehicles, whereas Megamind has the Megamind. I think that's what it's called. Please forgive me if I'm wrong. Now, granted, there is one weapon I'm pretty sure people will be mentioning, and that is the Death Ray, which is the thing that we see at the beginning of Megamind 1, and we see appear a few more times. There's one problem I have with this weapon.
Minion! Fire?
It's still warming up, sir.
Come again?
Warming up, sir.
Warming up! The sun is warming up?
You can either have it at its full power, when it takes over a minute to charge, or you could have it fire a bit more instantly, but it's weaker. And personally speaking, I don't think either of them would be able to kill Groot. I mean, yes, being attacked by the full power of the sun could kill Groot. That is 100% factual, but that would imply Groot just didn't kill Megamind before then, or it was being fired at full power, meaning it wouldn't be as strong. Granted, I don't exactly know if it being used at its weakened state could destroy Groot, because as far as I know, the weapon did destroy a comet. But at the same time, it's still not something that I would see being used as a valuable win con compared to Groot's other win cons. Now, next up is probably the more, like, ally-based stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you know, the armies, yeah, whatever, armies, yes. Which is the Brainbots and Minion versus the Minions and, if we're using Minion, I guess we're gonna use Dr. Nefario, I don't fucking know. Dr. Nefario has been used in the series, even outside of his own lab, which we see in, like, even the first two Despicable Me's. Now, one thing that the Minions don't have is the numbers. Because while the Minions do have a lot of numbers, which is, if I remember correctly, around 10,400? I could be wrong about that. It's like, I know it's in the 10,000s. But there are more Brainbots. If I remember correctly, it took 100,000 of them to make the Megamind face that we see him do when he first meets Titan. Or, well, you know, the fucking presentation scene, you know exactly what I mean. Now, granted, between the two other allies, those being Dr. Nefario and Minion, I do see Nefario edging out a bit more, simply because between the two, he is a bit smarter. Like, we know that, Minion has duped out Megamind before, which we saw in the first Megamind movie, where Minion disguises himself as the Warden, and talks to Megamind after he willingly puts himself back in prison. But despite that, given that Nefario was able to create all the weapons that Groot uses, I'm narrowly going to give the IQ advantage to him over Minion. Now, between which of the armies I think would win? Honestly, I'm going to give it to the Minions. That's for one simple reason. Numbers? Yeah, Megamind definitely has the numbers. But what he doesn't have is the durability. Basically, the Baneots are just regular robots. Meanwhile, the Minions are really stupidly durable. Now, granted, there are a ton of debatable feats. Like, you know, shaking space with Bart That's what the bot says, don't look at me. But these guys are borderline, like, you know what I'm trying to say, right? They're a lot more durable than the brain bots, which given the, like, brain bots is, like, regular durability, would mean that their numbers are more susceptible to be destroyed. But despite that, the minions themselves are also kind of stupid, so that could also be taken to advantage. But between the brain bots and the minions, I narrowly lean towards the minions. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, but minions glass breaks, wallahi, he's cooked. Anyways, those would be my thoughts on this matchup's prediction stuff. Yeah. Now, could I be wrong? Yes, 100%. My brain is not the best. I am kind of stupid. Not to mention, I did actually kind of have to rush this prediction because I had a lot going on this month. So, sorry if this is shoddy, but it is what it is. However, since I am trying a new style of predictions, let me know if this style prediction is one that you prefer, and I will keep doing it from this point on. Or I'll just go back to the debate shop and again thing and just go from there. If you like this prediction, let me know in the comments below because that will really boost the algorithm. And that's really about it. I'll see you all tomorrow when the episode drops.